Okay, so today we are going to be drawing a portrait. So in order to start, I would recommend a drawing pencil like this. It could be a pencil like this, really any kind of pencil. You can use a mechanical pencil, but it's going to be more challenging when it comes to your shading. So let's go ahead and let's get started. It's also really important that you have an eraser. And it's important that you're looking off of a reference photo. So if you're doing a self-portrait, that could be a reference photo of yourself, so a selfie, or it could be a picture from the internet of somebody you want to draw or a picture you took. So when I'm starting, I'm going to start with an oval. So I am working off of a picture, just a random person that I found on the internet, just to give myself a reference photo to look at. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to draw an oval shape. Okay, now everybody has different shaped heads, but we're just going to start with just a generic head, and then you can kind of make this your own. Okay, so there's my oval. Now the next step is going to be to draw a very light line down the center and a very light line down the center going across this way as well. Okay, these are going to be my guidelines. Now, it's really important right now that whatever I'm drawing lightly, because if I draw it too dark, it will not be erasable. So I'm drawing nice and light. I'm just going to put on a neck and shoulders. We don't want any pencil neck, so keep like a nice thick neck. Everybody has a lot thicker neck than what you think. You think that the neck's like this, but it's not unless you're drawing like a cartoon version. A nice thick neck. Okay. Now what we're going to do next is we are going to work on drawing out your guidelines. So this line right here is going to be where the eyes will fall. Okay, this is the center of the face where the nose is going to fall. Now you're going to go between the eyes and the chin, and you're going to put another line halfway there. Okay, that line is telling me where my nose is going to fall. Then I'm going to go between that line and this line, find the halfway point, and do a little mark there. That is where my bottom lip will fall. Okay, so then what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw up from the nose. Okay, and that right there is going to be my eye. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I am going to start by putting in those eyes. So actually I think my nose is a little bit thin. I'm going to pull the eye out a little bit more. One of the trickiest parts, I'm going to switch my pencil, it's a little more sharp. One of the trickiest parts of drawing is when it comes to drawing faces is getting a similar symmetrical drawing on both sides. So it can be really, really challenging here to get it the same on both sides. It's really easy to have one side looking different, okay? So I'm looking off this drawing. I'm just kind of getting in a basic shape for the eye, and then I'm going to erase out some of those lines and see how that looks. Okay. So the eyes are pretty almond shaped, okay? They're going to be rounder right here, and then they're going to point out there at the end, okay? I made my eyes a little too round on the bottom, so that's no problem at all. I can just erase because I'm drawing lightly. There we go. And I'm just going to bring that line up a little bit so that it's more straight like that. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on that nose. So the trick with a nose is to not overdraw the nose. It's really easy to just draw, like, for example, I always say we don't draw this kind of nose. That's not how we're going to draw a nose with really harsh lines, because then it just looks really weird on the middle of the face. So we're just mainly drawing the nose with shading. So I'm going to start by just kind of bringing that up, and the nose connects in with the eyes, which then go up with the eyebrows. So let's go ahead and let's position the eyebrow a little bit too. Okay. I'm going to erase a little bit of those guidelines now that I've kind of got some of that started. Okay. Now, on this nose, it's going to go up like that. It's going to come down a little bit in the middle, and then it goes up where the nostrils are. So just kind of a nosy shape there. On this particular person I'm looking off of, it's a girl. She's got a slightly smaller nose. I'm just going to adjust. Just make that a little bit smaller. I'm going to shade in her nostrils right there. Okay. And then remember, just like with anything, when we shade, we're going to create value. So we're going to create value to make that look round. So I'm going to kind of shade it around the edges, and it's going to be lighter up through the center. It's going to come across there. It's going to go across and have a highlight right there, and then have a highlight in the middle. So a highlight is like when you leave the white of the paper showing. So there's my nose. Okay, now I'm going to come down to her lips. So whether or not you're drawing a boy or a girl, man or a woman, this is the same techniques. I just happen to be looking off of a girl, but it's going to be the same technique regardless. So don't worry about that. Okay, so I'm just kind of doing a basic mouth lip shape here. And then I'm going to draw the center of the mouth across. Okay. And it looks a little bit like two mountains, I always kind of think. Okay, going up, and they come back down. So they're pretty triangular. And everybody's lips are different. So some people have very thin lips. Some people have more full lips. So keep that in mind to look off of your reference photo for how thick or thin you need to make the lips. And then basically I'm just going to do a light shade on the mouth again. When you draw teeth, this drawing I'm not going to show you how to draw teeth. If you're a beginner, I would recommend staying away from teeth for a little bit. Teeth are challenging, but just like with anything when it comes to portraiture, if you're going to go for it, try not to overdo it. Okay, I'm going to give her more of a chin now. Okay, so for my first oval, can you see there why I drew so lightly? Because I'm actually changing that whole original line I made. She's got a more thin looking chin right there. The original chin I drew might be better for like more of a guy with a square jaw. Her jawline is pretty thin, so I'm going to thin that out a little bit with just moving those lines. Okay, then I'm going to come up. That side of the head was not symmetrical, so symmetrical means the same on both sides. Okay, and that's looking better. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on shading in her jawline a little bit. So as I'm kind of working on giving her some shade, your jawline is right about here. So it's going to kind of come together about there. And I'm just kind of going nice and light. You can take your finger and smooth that out a little bit if you want. I'm going to go ahead and erase the rest of my guidelines off of the face because I think I've got it pretty good now to really start to bring this piece together. So then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to start to shade on the sides of her face. Okay. Just bringing that around, shading the bottom. Just bringing some shade all over her whole face to make it look like it's three-dimensional. Okay, and then I'm not going to worry about much up here because this drawing I have, she has bangs, which is good because then I don't have to shade in her forehead. So now when it comes to ears, your ear is going to, actually, ears are bigger than what we think they are. They start about where the eye is, and they come all the way down to about where your nose is. So ears, we always want to do real small, but actually ears are pretty large on your head or on your face. So make sure you do your ears, like if you feel your own ear, mine actually goes from my eyes to closer to down by my mouth. So maybe I just have really big ears. So feel kind of like, just keep in mind, we want nice, good size, proportional ears. So there would be the ear shape. And I'm also not going to overdraw the ears. She actually is going to have hair going over the ears. If your ears are going to be showing, just keep it nice and simple with the shading. Okay. Now for the eyebrows. Eyebrows and hair in general, I'm just going to do some little small lines as I work that through. And eyebrows kind of like come up like that and then out. So we're going to go up. And then they're going to go out. And you can give them any shape you want. All eyebrows are totally shaped differently, okay? Now, I'm going to do the crease of the eye. So that's going to come up from where the teardrop, before your tears would come out, the tear duct. Sorry, I was losing my word there. They'd come up from there. They would go right along here. So you're going to draw a nice shading right here. You're going to bring that tear duct up, okay? That eyelid up. And then I'm going to do some shading along the hood of the eye, so where the eyelid would be. This picture that I'm working off, she's got some makeup on, so I'm going to maybe make it a little bit darker than if she wasn't wearing makeup. So there's my eyelids, there's that. Okay, now I'm going to shade underneath the eye a little bit. So no matter how old you are, everybody has a shadow under the eye because your eyebrow, so your brow bone where that sticks out, so right here where that sticks out, it casts a shadow under your eyes. So if you're drawing an older person, you're going to probably have a little bit more of a shadow. If you're drawing a younger person, that shadow might be a little bit less obvious. But no matter who it is, there's always going to be that little shadow underneath. So it's important to put that in there. Okay, now this is looking a little creepy right now with no eyes, no pupils. So let's get those eyes in there, okay? So what I see a lot of people do with an eye where they go wrong is they draw the eye shape like that, right? And then they do this. Okay, well, what's wrong with that? Let's follow this out. What happens if I continue that shape above and below the eye? I end up with a huge oval. Your pupil and your iris are not an oval, they're a circle. So it's important that you sketch it as a circle and not an oval. So it might go slightly off, put that in there, and that's a nice circle. Same thing on this side. I'm doing a circle, not an oval. Okay, that's pretty close on both sides. Okay, so there would be that. Now I need to put in the pupil. So the pupil is the black part in that eye. So I'm going to start with a smaller circle inside. And then on that pupil, I'm going to leave a highlight. So there's my pupils. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw a little circle to the side of it. Okay, so a little circle off to the side of it. Okay, then I'm going to shade in that pupil black. Shade the pupil. And now as I go to shade in the eye, I'm going to go around the iris darker toward the sides, and then it's going to lighten up as it comes to the middle. Okay, so darker on the sides, and then it's going to lighten up as it comes to the middle. Okay, now I'm going to redraw that part out a little bit. It's not quite right. So fix that up a little bit. There we go. I'm going to draw a little bit of the tear duct in with just a little bit of shading right there. Okay, now the white of your eye is never actually white. It's going to have a little bit of shade on it. So I'm going to come in. I'm going to just give that a little tiny bit of shade so that it doesn't look like it's like sticking out, but it looks natural and shaded. I'm going to really draw some drama there. I'm going to switch pencils. This darker pencil. Here. I'm going to give it a little more shading up top, a little more shading on the bottom. Okay, now eyebrows in there. Okay, now what else is missing? Well, we need eyelashes. So to do eyelashes, this is what you don't want to do. We never do that. We don't have spider eyes, okay? What we're going to do, we're going to start short toward the sides of the eye, and then we're going to have them come out this way. They get longer in the center, and then they fill in. They are different lengths, so they're not all the same length. So I'm starting short, they're going out, taller in the middle and straight up in the middle, and then as they come out this way, they go this way. So if I'm going to direction that out for you guys, it goes this way, up in the middle, this way, and then you fill in, so like, but then have them different lengths too. Then on the bottom, you're just going to barely do anything along there, just a little tiny bit. You don't want a whole lot showing on the bottom because there are bottom lashes, but they're not nearly as long and dramatic as the ones on the top. So we're going to keep those pretty. So like along the bottom, guys, I just kind of do something like that. So just a little bit here and there, nothing like this, okay? So there would be the eyes. Now, let's go ahead and let's jump to the hair, okay? So for the hair, this person that I'm drawing, she has got some bangs. So let's see here. So if I'm doing her bangs, I'm going to first start just kind of by sketching them in. We're going to come down, and she's got like pretty long hair down, okay? Now, I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to start just first of all by sketching in where her hair would go, okay? Now, when I'm drawing hair texture in general, I'm going to start with just shaping in the direction of the hair. So her bang line is a little bit like, kind of like that, okay? And then it's going to come over on the sides once it goes up, okay? Now, it's important that so this hair behind her would go back, and then she's got a little bit coming around in front. So now, when you're shading hair, what you don't want to do is this. We don't do that. We are going to, I like to really bring a pencil, and this is where it's nice to have a pencil like this or this and not a mechanical. Mechanicals get really hard for doing hair because you can't get the side of it going. So if you kind of come along on the side like so, you can really start to shade in some hair. So sometimes I'll just kind of do like some shading here. And I could do other videos showing you different types of hair texture, but this would just be one example. Now, as I would continue to do this, one other trick I'm going to show you is highlighting out hair. You can take an eraser and you can erase out some highlights as well. So that's one more little trick, is to take an eraser and actually draw with that eraser. Okay, so there is, I'm not going to finish this just because it would take a while, but I'll come back and show you the finished piece later. So this is a basic start to how you would draw a portrait of a person. I hope you enjoyed.